What?
Who are you talking to?
My camera. Who are you talking to?
You.
Why?
Because.
If you think about it, if we don't put all these parts in, that's gonna save a lot of weight. This thing's gonna be really fast. In this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to take an ordinary engine and make it into a race car engine. A couple little steps, cost absolutely no money. Hope you guys enjoy. I want to start this video off by first saying that this video is just for fun. Do not follow along what I'm doing. I only like making how-to videos and, you know, teaching people. But I have a old engine back here. I made a video probably a year ago on replacing an engine in a, I think, 2015 Volkswagen Jetta. I've had this engine sitting in my garage, so we're gonna make a fun video out of it. Before we get started, if you guys enjoy this video, leave me a comment, let me know. Leave me a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. And if you got any questions, leave me a comment and I'll try to answer them. So, here goes nothing. So I originally pulled this engine out because the cam sensor was bad on it. I also knew there was a bunch of blow-bys, so I just recommended replacing the engine. The customer never changes oil on time, and he goes 20,000 miles on oil change. So I imagine this engine's shot. We're gonna tear it down and kind of see what went wrong, but we're gonna have fun while doing it. First thing we need to do is make sure all the oil's out of it, and it's actually a 1/2 inch. That's what size that is. I got the drain hole installed. Now that's the lowest point, so it should drain all the oil out. Next thing we're gonna do is remove this chain that we used to pull the engine out. It's still left on there. And remove the spark plug wires. When we reassemble this engine, we're gonna go with Bluetooth spark plug wires, so we don't need these ones anymore. We're just gonna go ahead and cut them. That one's gonna be really hard to get to, so we're gonna take care of that. So in order to get that spark plug a little easier, you're gonna get your little hammer and hit it right here. See how much easier this is? Be a piece of cake now getting that out. With ease. Alright, let's go ahead and remove this intake. It's kind of just in the way. So on this intake, I guess Volkswagen ran out the same bolts or something. I don't know. There's regular hex nut there. There's a triple squares. The M10 on there. There's a nut there. Regular hex nut. Up through there's a triple square. Triple square. Triple square in that hole. And same right there. So they must have ran out of triple squares and decided to put hex nuts. I don't know. I don't know why they use 2 different sizes on one part. It shouldn't be too tight, so I'm going to use my 1/2 inch impact. They put a hole here to get to that one bolt. I'm using a 13mm deep well, and it's too tight of a fit, so we gotta get it out of there. Just like that. Now, what I do with these bolts is I throw them on a pile, and hopefully they go back in the right spot. There's another hole right here. I'm gonna get the dipstick out of the way. There's another hole right here. So instead of forcing the socket in, I'm just gonna go ahead and make room. On the back of the intake, there's little pins that slide into rubber grommets on the intake, and it's part of the heat shield for the exhaust manifold. So I'm probably just gonna go ahead and use my universal socket right here and right here, and it should release it. The sizes wore off the socket, so I ain't sure what it is. All right, got the first one loose. There's what that looks like. So put that in your bolt pile. Okay, got the second one loose. Bolt pile. All right, now I think everything's disconnected from the manifold, so we're gonna gently pry up on it and see if it moves. Got that off. So the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and take the rest of the spark plug wires off since we're gonna be using them. Engine mount has to go in order to get the timing cover off. Luckily it's already loose from pulling the engine out. Remove the timing cover. Now make sure you mark this, just in case you can't find timing marks or something. You can actually line it back up how it came off. So we'll mark in a couple spots. All right, now I have a special tool to remove these bolts. I think you can get it from Walmart or something like that. It's actually called a knife. Now you know exactly where it goes. See, we can see there how it's red there, red there, red there. Perfect. Pull his valve cover off. Looks like it's a 10mm. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but you're not supposed to use chrome sockets on an impact gun. So what I did was use the black socket on the impact gun, then I used a chrome socket on the black reducer. So that's fine to do. Couple nuts along through there. Now we're gonna pry up gently on it. All right, got that off. Looks like there's a plastic shield. I've never saw that before. Maybe they forgot to take this out when they were assembling the engine. These rubber gaskets, you can reuse them. So as long as they look like they're rubber still, you're fine. The socket's a little loose, but it should work just fine. There's the cam sensor, which is what was going bad on this. Pretty easy to get to. I was going to take his cam out so we can make the head lighter when we go to remove it. These bearing caps, or whatever you want to call them for the cam, you want to make sure you put them in order. So make sure you mark them and lay them out how they're supposed to go. So grab your marking compound and just like that. So now the red one goes there, red one goes there, and then so on and so on. Now, when you remove them, they give you a little bit of trouble, just get you a little pry bar. There you go. So make sure you keep these in order. I think this one wants to come out there. There we go. I give a little persuasion. The stud kind of got removed, but it's okay. JB Welch should hold it. Pull off all your little caps for your valves. Make sure you keep them in order. Oh, almost forgot to mark them. There we go. The head bolts are, I think a T55. I only have a T50 here that I can find. So when you do it, make sure you just go down the line so it warps the head evenly. All right, the head's ready to come off. So what we're gonna do is clear off a spot on the bench so we can set it down there. You might need 2 people, depending on how strong you are. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty strong, so let's grab it. And throw it down there. You gotta be careful with this head gasket because we're gonna reuse it. We're gonna try to spend the least money as possible on this. So it looks pretty good. There's only like 190,000 miles on this engine, I think. So it shouldn't need replaced yet. We'll throw it to the side. So there's the pistons. You see how disgusting those look. We'll get those cleaned up before we reassemble it. So the top half is done. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip it over. Probably make a huge mess. And take the oil pan off. Got it flipped over. There's actually a weird bolt here that is probably meant to drain the oil. I've never used one before. But we'll go ahead and remove the lower part of the oil pan. Go ahead and pry up on it. If you can find a spot. I think these ones are the ones you have to kind of make your own spot to pry up on. So see how that corner's bent up now? Now you're able to fit a pry bar in there. And voila. Now we remove the upper part of the oil pan. Got about 800 of those bolts out. That was a pain. Looks like they used some silicone or something, maybe caulking, I don't know. So now you just pry up. Take a stupid plastic shield off here. That ain't going back on. Oil pump. Again, don't forget to mark them, lay them out in order. Now you pull all the bearing caps off. Now be careful because there is bearings in here. So make sure you keep those together. Push your pistons out, make sure you catch them, don't destroy them or anything. You can probably get you like a wooden hammer or something. This way you don't scratch anything up. Just use the handle on a wooden hammer. Okay, got all the pistons out. Now for the reassemble. So, I don't know if you guys can make this out, but there's actually a lot of nasty stuff around the rings. The oil rings are pretty flat, they don't really stick up at all. This camera's not very good for focusing. But I'd say that's a lot of the problems, all this carbon buildup. You can see there's actually on the side of the piston. The walls look kind of rough too. I can't really focus, but I'd say that's the problem, is from not changing the oil. So we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this. Grab your pistons. There should be an arrow somewhere, but that don't really matter. What I like to do is line it up, kind of like that. You can use a ring compressor, but I don't feel like getting it out, so we're gonna. There we go, that one's in. You can either do it that way, or you can just pull these little clips off. This way you can run more boost in your car, because it'd be lower compression. There we go. Just like that. Now watch how easy this goes in. Line it up. Falls right in. Piece of cake. They put these on in the factory so this way they don't fall out during assembly. They're really not that important. Alright, go and flip it over so you put your bearing caps back on it. See? The pistons fell out. That's why they keep those clips on there. But it's okay. Now these bolts should be replaced because they're torque to yield. But if you want to save a little bit of money, there's a couple ways to do it. So when they're torque to yield, that means the bolts actually stretch. So what I'm gonna do is save some money. And we can put them in the vise and re-shrink them. So it's snug, you get 1/2 turn. Or a little over a quarter because they're really tight. That's one way of doing it. That's properly shrunk now. Or the faster way of doing it is just grabbing the bolt, hammer, put on a flat surface. Put on a flat surface and then just give it a good tap. Just like that. I recommend taking these bearings out because all it causes is friction. So, should make it run faster. Line up your cap, motherfucking shit. Line it up, get a bolt started. Just like that. You gotta make sure you torque these properly. How I like to do that is snug them both up. You gotta count and see how long it takes for them to break. Then you know not to go that long next time. See, that one's good now. No play. All right, so you do that to all of them. Reinstall your crank bolts, your crank cap bolts, or whatever you want to call them, I don't know. But you rotate the engine. Most people take some emery cloth or something to clean up the sealing surface, but that takes too long, so a little bit of sandpaper. For this really tough stuff, you want to use one of these needle scalers, and it breaks up the carbon pretty good on the pistons too. If you don't have the sanding thing or the needle scaler, you just use like a grinding wheel. Make sure you clean it up real good when you're done. Give it a good wipe down. Don't it look brand new from way back here? Got the pistons all shined up. These grinding marks on the pistons will actually mix up your air and your fuel. It'll cause like, I don't know, 30 psi more. Pretty effective. So now we gotta clean the head up. Not terrible. Shouldn't take too long to clean it up. If you have an angle grinder, it'll probably be a lot more effective. So let's get this done. Looks like I just bought it. Make sure you clean it. Should be good enough. The rest of that stuff should burn out. Grab your head gasket, figure out which way it goes. Goes like that. There's little guide pins kind of in the way. So since this is where we're using this gasket, pick it up, use some Flex Seal, put a good coating on it. Make sure you do it evenly. Set that down in place. Another coat. Just like that. That saved about 30 bucks. Go ahead and set the head in place. And guide pens don't even work. You know what, screw that gasket. No Flex Seal. Okay, you're gonna get all your head bolts gathered up. Again, these are torque to yield. So we're gonna go ahead and fix these. Your head bolts in place. Make sure you go down the line so you don't forget any. Okay, they're all tight.
Dad?
What?
Who are you talking to?
My camera. Who are you talking to?
You.
Why?
Because
So I tighten those up until it starts, the Flex Seal seeping out, so that should be sealed. I don't see why not. Now I think we're gonna go ahead and tighten spark plugs up. I loosened those up earlier, so might as well do it while the intake's off. Remember how we find the torque? We're gonna do that with spark plugs. Okay, so threads fail at like 4 seconds. Go ahead and throw your cam in. Now, I don't see a purpose in putting bolts on this because, well, if you want to put a cam in it later, all you do is pull your valve cover off and bam. So make sure your red line is straight on top. That's important. Valve cover. Secret to a long-lasting engine is keep your valve cover gasket out. See how there's nothing there? This way your oil leaks out and you gotta put new in. It always keeps fresh oil in. Make sure you keep count. I do it right when it starts to touch, then I count how long until it fails. It's about 3.5, so we'll go 2 on this one. That's perfect. I think that should be enough on there. Now the intake. Something like that. This right here is actually an upgrade. People do colder intakes, which is all the way over there, you know, your tube goes and a filter. That takes too long to get to your engine. So this way, it just goes straight into your head. So keep that in mind. So that means the 2 end cylinders, 1 and 4, are gonna stay a lot cooler. So that's good to go. Anything your engine turns over makes you lose power. So this oil pump is connected to the engine by a chain. So you think about if you're turning this, you're losing a lot of power there. So we're just gonna keep that out. So go ahead. You gotta put your lower pan back on, or your upper pan. Now this is ridiculous, all these bolts. We're not doing that. 4 is way more than enough. Well, in each corner. If you think about it, if we don't put all these parts in, that's gonna save a lot of weight. This thing's gonna be really fast. Go till the first one breaks. Lower pan. Now, all these shavings and stuff, you don't have to worry about them. Your oil filter pick them up. It's all ready to get back in the car. Oh, forgot the dipstick. Now I'll warn you guys, when you put this in, you're probably not gonna have any traction. It's gonna be the fastest thing you've ever drove. So keep that in mind. That's a wrap up this video. If you guys liked it, make sure you leave a thumbs up. If you got any questions, leave a comment. I don't know what you're going to ask me about, but go for it. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys next time.